is a new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and this week he did pass a two-part continuing resolution that would extend some funding through January 19th and other funding through February 2nd. The Speaker thinks that if he can break it up, he can prevent a gigantic omnibus spending package from being rammed through altogether. But whatever leash he might have, it's a short one. Conservatives in the House not happy that the same out-of-control spending has been extended yet again, and among them, the man you just heard from, Congressman Chip Roy. He represents Texas's 21st Congressional District and joins us on the phone. Congressman, good to have you with us, sir. Thank you.
Great to be on. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. And so the argument that I think that Speaker Johnson might make or may have even made is that, look, I just need to buy a little time for some more negotiating. You think that this has gone on long enough?
Yeah, look, I mean, let me just start with Mike is a friend. I have great respect for him. He's a good man. He's a good husband, good father. I think very highly of him. I just think that if you're going to continue to kick the can down the road, if you're going to continue the status quo, that's not good enough. And look, you know, when the analogy I use, and I'm not a military guy, but I mean, I have great respect and admiration for him. If you're storming the beaches in Normandy and our commanding officer goes down, somebody's, next man up. You don't sit around having a, study session and, honeymoon period trying to figure out what to do. Like, our country is burning down around us. We all ran for Congress. We all know what we want to do. We need leadership to do it. And I don't need a 5-point plan from all the frickin' wonks in town to tell me what to do. The fact of the matter is we need to reduce spending. We need to change the direction of this town. We need to secure the border. And I would have just sent something over to the Senate, nothing radical. I understand we can't demand that Schumer do everything we want to do, but you're not going to get crap if you don't force them by sending something over there and make them vote no, right? Send it back. Get in the ping pong. Oh, they'll shut it down. Let them go home for Thanksgiving. Let them sit around Thanksgiving tables and explain why they would shut the government down, because we sent them a bill that would have funded government, funded troops, funded Israel, but paid for some of that stuff and taken $30 billion out of the IRS and paid for the disaster spending in Israel. Send that over. That's not like earth-shattering, but we could have sent that over and forced their hand. And if they want to go explain a shutdown because they're unwilling to do that, then let them. But we can't just keep doing the same crap because we have the excuse of, oh, my God, if we have a shutdown, what will they say about us? Who cares?
Yeah. And the American people,
I don't care.
And the American people deserve to know what it is that Democrats and certainly some Republicans who are allied with them are trying to fund on a constant basis. So an obvious one to me, and it's probably not a huge item in the budget, but it's definitely detrimental to the country, is the amount of federal funding that goes to all of these NGOs that are involved in human trafficking illegal immigrants into our country. That one is an obvious one. That one's like, you look at that, you're like, that one's done. That one's not getting funded at all. We're not going to keep funding human trafficking.
And that's such a good point. I put my point exactly. You want to send over a CR? Fine. Could you send over a CR that at least cut what you just described? Okay, give me one thing, right? Send over a CR that guts the United Nations UNRWA program, which sends money to the Palestinians, which goes to Hamas, which goes to killing our Jewish friends and neighbors, right? Why wouldn't you at least just do that? Call their bluff on that. You guys are going to shut down the government because you want to fund Hamas? Go ahead. Explain that to the American people. These are the kinds of things that I don't understand. Like, there'd be like hundreds of those that we could put forward to say that why don't we at least just do that? That's my problem with the status quo crowd in this town. And again, let me give credit where it's due. Mike passed or had us move forward and pass an Israel bill that was paid for out of the IRS expansion. We sent that to the Senate. Senate conservatives last night moved a motion to proceed and filed cloture, forced their hand. They kind of grabbed the Senate floor. It was a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And they forced their vote. And guess what? Party line vote, they tabled it. So Democrats are siding with the IRS expansion in Ukraine over Israel and our national security interests. Good. Let the American people know that. We'll keep fighting them and we can go try to get Israel funding. But let's send them over righteous bills and make Schumer choke on it.
Yeah, we had Senator Roger Marshall on yesterday, and apparently he was leading the effort yesterday to get that done in the Senate. It was a great move. And of course, Democrats, failed to live up to the moment. They didn't want to fund Israel, and they don't want to chop back the IRS agents that are dedicated to taking down the middle class.
And they're so wed to Ukraine, they won't even stand up for Israel, and they'll use the IRS as an excuse. But it's really about Ukraine.
It's just amazing. It really is. So I will say, to the extent that the can gets kicked at all, and obviously you don't want it to, At least it's after the Christmas break, because I tell you, you've seen it, Congressman. When they make the spending deadline the very end of the year, that's when the worst possible outcomes occur, because nobody's paying attention. Everybody wants to go home, and the lobbyists get to write the whole damn thing.
No, that's exactly right. But a lot is being made of that. And the thing that I'd say to Mike on that with respect is, the easiest way for you to not have an omnibus before Christmas is just say no.
Right.
You're the Speaker of the House, my man. You're not a backbencher. You're not Chip Roy. You have the gavel. You just simply say that bill ain't going to be on the floor. So here's the deal. I'm going to give you a CR that does X, Y, Z. And if you shut the government down, you own that. Now, to your point, I'm glad they kicked it in January. And so we're not sitting here before Christmas with all that pressure. But guess what's going to happen in January? Oh, we're a few weeks before primaries. Oh, we're in the middle of presidential, Iowa, New Hampshire, and all the caucus stuff. Oh, what are we going to do? Lots of pressure. Oh, no, Ukraine is bubbling up. Oh, have we funded Israel yet? There's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be a pressure for why we can't shut the government down, or why we can't use the levers the founders gave us of the power of the purse to force change.
Right. Now, what kind of leash is Speaker Johnson on then? I mean, right now he did kick it. You've expressed dissatisfaction. A lot of Republicans, by the way, a lot of conservatives voted against this continuing resolution yesterday. 93 Republicans were opposed. If we get to this moment again in January and then subsequently February, and we see another can kick, what kind of conversation are we having about Speaker Mike Johnson?
Well, look, I don't view it in terms of length of leash. I have great admiration and respect for Mike. He's a good man. He's a good friend. He's conservative.
Sure.
And I expect him to step up now. He asked for time. I wouldn't have done it this way. I disagree with it, and I'm going to criticize it. But he asked for time. He's got time. And so his time now is he's got Thanksgiving weekend. He's got 10 days, to get through, come back in December. We need to set the terms of the fight and lay the groundwork for what we're going to do in January and see what happens. I don't believe, though, that he has a lot of room to cut bad deals going forward.
Yeah.
We need to stand up and pick a fight, and we got to win it. And I know we can't win everything we want,
right?
But dang it, we got to secure the border. Or dang it, we got to cut spending. Or dang it, we got to clear the decks on all this Ukraine nonsense. Or dang it, we got to stop some of this weaponized bureaucracy that's attacking the American people. We can do some or all of those things or pieces of them. I don't care. But set up a fight and let's go win it. That's the whole point.
Right. One of the challenges he has is that he has Republicans who disagree. If all the Republicans were on the same page, this would be easy. They'd be able to vote for all this stuff right away. So what will it take to bring pressure to bear on those Republicans who are gumming up the works?
Well, more focus by people to look at it. Why were there 127 Republicans who voted for this craptacular bill? And they shouldn't have done it, right? So you said it. We had 93 Republicans who voted no. We had 2 Democrats who voted no. Jayapal said it was a good deal. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez voted for it. Rashida Tlaib voted for it. I'm going to ask a question. If only 2 Democrats in this House of Representatives are voting against the bill, it probably wasn't a good bill. So I think we need to make sure that's clear to folks, highlight it, and then, put pressure on people to say, look, stay the course. Now, I'll say on the positive, I've been around this town longer than I care to acknowledge. Having 95 no votes is actually a pretty damn good accomplishment. Normally Republicans are all too happy to just go along with it. Look, we're trying to break the back of the appropriator, swamp, big spending establishment in this town. We're having success. Today, we took down a rule. That was a big deal. And we took down that rule because they put forward a closed rule. It was a failure theater with the CJS appropriations, which is the Department of Justice. We weren't going to get really good votes on defunding some of the prosecutions over DOJ, other things. And so, we were going to get votes, but they were going to kill them. And we knew they were. It was all failure theater. So we were able to kill that rule, and we sent a message that, guys, we're not going to dance unless we're going to do our job. And I hope we'll get more Republicans to agree. We're making progress. It's not as fast as I wish it was.
Obviously, as you said, Congressman Chip Roy, you are criticizing this decision to advance yet another, the same budget, once again, the Biden budget, once again into January and February. But if you could assess outside of that, and maybe including that, Speaker Johnson, are you optimistic about him? Do you think that he has the fortitude to withstand this job and lead the Republican conference in the right direction?
Well, I start with the premise that I said before, is
yes.
that he's honest, he's a good man. He's been talking to us. He came to us on the floor and he talked through a lot of the issues. I believe he wants to achieve the same things we want to achieve. I got to give him some time to go, work with the conference to try to move things in the right direction. But here's the one observation that I'll make. When Mike had no staff around him and was going from his gut, he listened to those of us kind of just saying, here are some ideas, and he made the play call to pass Israel with the IRS pay for. We've been getting a lot of positive feedback from the Senate saying, hey, this helps us to negotiate so things aren't on autopilot. That was a great move. It took some guts and some determination. That's the Mike that we need in the speaker's gavel, because once he started getting staff around him, once he started having the entire, swamp saying, Mike, you can't do this. We'll have a shutdown. This is what's going to happen. How will we get out of the shutdown? Then, in my opinion, he made the wrong decision. So be the Mike who was bold the Monday after you were elected speaker, and you will succeed. And that's my message to him.
Congressman, do you know what world of people, what orbit of people are now on his staff? Are these former McCarthy staffers? Who's got his ear?
It's a mix. He's got some of his existing staff, some people from that he's worked with when he was the head of the Republican Study Committee. There's a few other people floating around from McCarthy's world and others. A lot of people that I've worked with in the past, and they're good. Look, I'm a former staffer. My main point is not to criticize any particular staff. It's to say, follow your gut. Like, staff are supposed to give you some, here's some rough advice. You got to go lead. I had some today on the floor. One of the members said, well, wait, why was this closed rule on the floor? And some members said, well, the staff set it up that way. Like, are you out of your friggin' mind? Like, as a former staffer, I never would have done that. Like, the members make the play call. We're the ones with the election certificates. And we've got to grab the bull by the horns and actually start leading instead of letting the swamp creatures decide all this stuff. The appropriation staff who resist when I ask questions about all these slush funds and all these rescissions and all these so-called chimps that nobody in America understands what the hell they are, but they're how the appropriators grease the skids for massive spending. And I push back on that, and the appropriation staff says, no, we can't use those funding accounts. Why not? I'm the one with the election certificate. Who are you? Exactly. So we've got to change this town and break the back of this place. It's happening. And look, on the positive, we are winning. We're changing the way this place works. It just, it takes a while, and it's not happening as fast as the American people need it to happen.
All right, well, stay in the fight. Congressman Chip Roy, really appreciate your time today, sir, and your assessment of everything going on Capitol Hill. Thank you very much.